part, Buddhist bowing as contemplation. Bowing has been part of Buddhist practice since the Buddhist time in India and continues to this day. Within the Buddhist Sangha, or monistic community, the daily liturgical schedule began and ended with dozens if not hundreds of ritual prostrations. On ceremony days, clergy and laity alike might engage in the practice of liturgical repentance and bow up to 10,000 times. Monks and nuns bow to the images of sages, awakened beings, and the Buddhas, to their superiors and to each other. In Tibetan Buddhism, prostrations form an important part of the most common foundational practice called preliminary practices. Over the course of several months or longer, the beginning practitioner is expected to complete at least 111,000 full-body prostrations along with the chanted refuge prayers as part of the preliminary practices. The late Dudjom Rinpoche bowed on a daily basis, even into his 80s. The 14th century Tibetan saint Dzongkhapa is known to have performed over 1 million prostrations during his 4-year meditation retreat in a cave. Meditation masters practice bowing as an active counterpart to seated meditation. Master Zhu Yun successfully completed an arduous 3 steps, 1 bow pilgrimage across China, covering a distance of 1,000 miles. Years later, after his marathon bowing journey, he bowed 1,000 or more bows per day over an extended period of months. Master Zhu Yun's mother died in childbirth, and he wished to repay his mother's kindness for bringing him into the world. The biography of Master Xuan Hua, from 1918 to 1995, an accomplished Chinese bhikshu pioneer in North America, tells how at the outset of his spiritual career he made a practice of bowing 830 times, twice a day, rain or shine, and did so for 10 years. Thus, bowing in Asian Buddhist practice is real and significant. Given the centrality of bowing in Buddhism, it is a curious anomaly that Westerners who seek the Buddha's way so seldom encounter bowing. Just as bowing has been largely ignored by academics, so too has it been overlooked by Buddhist practitioners. A close examination of the theory and practice of bowing in Buddhism reveals a highly estimated Dharma door long considered indispensable to awakening. Why then have scholars of Buddhism paid so little attention to bowing? Westerners in their first encounter with Buddhism typically assume that Buddhist practice is synonymous with sitting meditation. This view persists despite the reality that the most common Buddhist practice in Asia from the 3rd century CE was, and still is, bowing to Buddha. Scholarly literature in English on the subjects of Chinese Buddhism in particular has tended to focus on meditation and philosophy to the exclusion of devotional practice. As Westerners, we tend to think of prostrating as a gesture of defeat or abasement. We think that to show someone else respect is to make ourselves less. Prostrating irritates our sense of democracy, that everyone is equal. On one hand, we want to receive the teachings, but on the other, we don't really want to bow down to anyone or anything. Bowing is a mental yoga, a contemplation used therapeutically for its ability to replace and counteract the view of self, the source of pride and all other evils that arise from arrogance. Bowing in the various traditions look the same externally, but the internal experiential aspect of Buddhist bowing, it would seem, is different. In Buddhism, we discover 2 more purposes for bowing. First, as a complement to seated meditation, and second, bowing as a Dharma method that opens directly to wisdom. Bowing or repentance liturgy is designed to bring to consciousness the negative things that we may have committed in the past. Bowing changes the blood flow to the upper body, particularly to the brain, and it seems to dislodge memories or thoughts that may be buried in the mind, or in our kinetic memory. Seated meditation doesn't function the same way because sitting is stationary, and our blood circulation slows down. When we bow, we place our head on the same level with heart. The flowing blood and changing energy stimulates and washes clean the effects in the psyche of deeds we have done with our body, mouth, and mind. While bowing, memories and thoughts of all kinds come to mind, thoughts that may be terrifying and embarrassing. They arise because the act of bowing relaxes the muscles from the shoulders, the small of your back, and the chest. It exercises the stomach muscles and the diaphragm, which also holds muscle memory. Attitudes, buried or repressed thoughts we can no longer stomach naturally return to awareness during bowing. Bowing, as a road to the non-dual, helps empty out and purify false concepts within. The false, illusory self is being erased as one bows. Thus in Buddhism, bowing is neither symbolic icon worship nor penitential mortification. It returns all dharmas to the mind, where movement and stillness unite. Students from the University of San Francisco and the University of California, Berkeley, come regularly for Monistic Encounter Weekend as a field trip in their religious studies courses. At the end of the retreat, we ask students to evaluate what they enjoyed and what they would improve. One would assume that meditation would be the hallmark of experience of a Buddhist retreat, and some students do mention meditation. Others enjoy the vegetarian food, the opportunity to talk with monanistics, or the tranquility and orderliness behind the walls of Buddhist monastery. To my surprise, every retreat brings the same response. The students liked the bowing most. Here are the excerpts of the evaluation forms. From an 18-year-old atheist, a Caucasian woman in her sophomore year. I've never done any religious practice before. The bowing put me off at first. I'd never imagined doing anything at all like that. I felt aversion, but because everyone else was doing it, and because the monks and nuns interpreted the actions in psychological terms, it didn't seem so threatening. When the time came, I simply bowed, and that was that. Once I tried bowing, it lost its strangeness. By the time I had finished the first ceremony, I didn't even notice I had been bowing. From a 19-year-old culturally Jewish man, I never realized I had never before taken a part in a religious ceremony of any kind. My parents never introduced me to religion. Joining the bowing and the chanting felt like water touching a thirsty plant. A part of my heart opened that hadn't been touched before. From a 19-year-old Baptist junior. When I left the ceremony hall, I felt lighter in spirit, as if I had left cares and years behind on that bowing bench. I went back and bowed by myself for an hour in the darkened Buddha hall. I wanted to clean out while I had the chance.